It's the DEI hire part first, and then it's the record. But they can't help themselves but going at the race part of this.
Let me just say something here.
Please do.
This is going to work out badly because they worked very hard to attract black men into the Republican Party. They worked very hard to attract Latin men into the Republican Party. And they were getting a little bit of momentum there. There were a lot of black men who were saying, no, the Democrats don't do anything for us, and Biden's weak. And they're starting to look over there at the Republican Party. You start insulting black women, you're going to see something you haven't seen before. Black men are not going to put up with that. I want to send a warning, as clear as I can. I was on a phone call with 20,000 black men. The word protect came up about 1,000 times. Protect this sister. Protect this sister. We're going to protect her. Protect her. You're about to see something you haven't seen before. Look, people messed around with Hillary Clinton and said a bunch of mean stuff to her. Black men set that out. We won't set this out. So I don't think that the Republican Party understands that all the work that they did trying to get us over there, two more days of this, it's going to be a problem.
Look, just shut the fuck up. At a certain point, just shut the fuck up.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about a video that I did yesterday about the mainstream liberal media and the Democrat Party pushing this psyop on the Republicans and conservatives to trick them out of attacking Kamala Harris with one of their most effective lines of criticism against Kamala, which is that she is not competent, okay? She is not fit for the job. She was only chosen because of her infinity stones of wokeness, okay? Because she's allegedly black and she's allegedly a woman. That is the only reason why Joe Biden picked her as vice president. Now, we all know this. America knows this. Democrats know this. Okay, Joe Biden admitted it out loud. Okay, and this is why the mainstream liberal media wants to take away that line of criticism from the Republicans. This is why they're saying, well, Republicans calling Kamala Harris a DEI vice president is racist. It's like calling her the N-word. It's because they want to guilt you out of attacking her in a way that is extremely effective, because this is a substantive attack, right? An attack on whether or not Kamala Harris is actually competent, okay, is very effective. And if you don't believe me, listen to MSNBC get this brutal reality check from a group of women voters out in Wisconsin when they confront them on the possibility of voting for Kamala Harris.
How do you perceive Vice President Harris compared to President Biden in terms of competency and experience?
I think she's worse. She doesn't even know what's going on at the border.
Right.
And that's what she was supposed to be doing and in charge of. I mean, as a school teacher, if I did not do what I was supposed to be doing, you better believe my job would be in jeopardy. Well, it isn't. Not only was her job not in jeopardy, she was just handed a promotion.
Is there anyone that Kamala Harris could appoint as her vice president that you would find reassuring, would make you consider voting for her?
No. Never consider voting for her. No.
I would do RFK Jr. way before her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And she's not the first woman to run for the presidency, Hillary Clinton. I'm assuming no one voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So it's not necessarily going to sway you to vote for a woman in office. When do you think America will have a female president?
When there's a competent one?
I don't get a good feel for her.
I think she's an idiot.
Right.
Mary, why do you think that she's not that bright?
Because she hasn't done anything in the time that she's had. We don't know anything about her as far as her 3 years so far in the White House. She's not real smart. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
If Vice President Kamala Harris wins the election, do you think that will be an honest result?
No.
No one respects her.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, that was brutal. You can tell. MSNBC didn't like that, bro. They did not like that. But again, guys, listen to them, okay? Yes, I know that they are women Trump voters, okay? However, the idea is that Kamala is going to help the Democrats do better with women, okay? So if she's not pulling women, if she's not instilling confidence in women, then again, it's not going to work, right? And there is no real evidence that she's a significant boost over Joe Biden when it comes to all of these demographic groups that she's supposed to do so well with, right? There's no evidence that she's doing significantly better with black voters than Biden. There's no evidence she's doing significantly better with young voters than Biden. And there's no evidence that she's doing significantly better with women voters than Biden, right? This Kamala Harris campaign is already off to an epic disaster, right? I'm telling you right now, she is super weak. And this is probably the best she's going to poll, right? Over the next week or so, these are going to be the best polls that we're going to get for Kamala Harris. If she cannot take a sizable lead over Trump, I don't think that she's going to be able to recover, right? I don't think she is going to have a good chance, right? Because again, if you listen to the voters, even the swing state voters, people just do not seem to trust her, okay? They don't seem to trust her.
Who do you blame for President Biden being in office in this condition? Who deserves the blame?
His close staff. They work with him every day.
So I think that's what also makes me nervous about the Vice President Harris.
Yeah. Talk about that a bit.
So yes, she's going to be in it, but she also helped keep him in where he's at right now. And if he really is as bad as what they've been saying, I think if he steps down as president and she steps into the presidency before the end of his term, it almost makes me question a little bit more why it didn't happen sooner. She's worked with him. She's been, to my understanding, with him daily, or at least a couple of days a week. Why hasn't this been brought to her attention? If she's willing to hide that type of information once she's in office, now what she's willing to hide for herself. And so I think that makes me a little bit uneasy. Not necessarily that I wouldn't vote for her for it, but it definitely opens that questioning of why now? Why are you now being okay with exposing Biden's health concerns? Is it because it benefits you, or kind of what that line of questioning looks like?
Yeah, is it a power grab? Or
does anyone agree with Melissa's point that it calls into the vice president's judgment that she has been around while Biden's health has deteriorated?
100% agree. But it also seems like that's kind of how she carries herself. She kind of does what in the moment she needs to do to continue to move forward and move up.
Yeah, so as you guys can see, voters aren't really comfortable with the Democrat coup against Joe Biden in elevating Kamala because they're asking the right questions in their minds about, okay, why now? And why did Kamala Harris hide this for so long? She's been in the same room with this guy. Either she is corrupt, okay, and she is just one of these people that just want power no matter what. That's all she cares about, okay? Or she lacks good judgment, which would speak to her competence, right? That maybe she is not very competent at her job. And again, that is why she failed to recognize that Biden was mentally deteriorating. Is either that or she knew, she lied, she covered it up because, again, she wanted to maintain power and control. Damn the country, right? She was putting her own career, her own political ambitions, her own party over the actual country. There's no other conclusion that you can come to. So again, MSNBC getting a brutal reality check, not just from Trump female voters, but also from swing state voters. And again, this is why Republicans should not back away from attacking Kamala Harris on these grounds, because this is actually a substantive and effective attack. And they know it. And this is why it doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter how you frame it. Doesn't matter what you say. If you question Kamala Harris's competence, they are going to get triggered and call you racist. Doesn't matter how you say it, because they know that it's an effective criticism against Kamala. Watch this.
Running mate, given all the things she criticized Joe Biden about. Have you looked at what J.D. Vance has said about Donald Trump? Like, it just makes absolutely no consistent sense what Donald Trump said there.
Once said, J.D. Vance said that Trump was America's Hitler. Doesn't get more.
And yet, And yet he picked him. So, like, it's not, I just don't understand what metric he's using.
I'll just say, I don't think the campaign has to go anywhere near any of that, right? This is, in a lot of ways, the same campaign it was last week. It comes down to the three I's: immigration, inflation, and competence. You have Kamala Harris, who's the deciding vote for the Inflation Reduction Act that actually spent trillions of dollars causing inflation. She was Biden's border czar when we've had record number of border crossings. And incompetence, she stood side by side with Joe Biden on every single foreign policy disaster we've had, including the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. She owns that record. That's all Donald Trump has to talk about. The rest will take care of itself.
She's not incompetent. Okay, like you don't become the Attorney General of California
or a U.S. Senator
or the Vice President of the United States. By calling her incompetent, you're calling the 81 million people who voted for her incompetent as well. But let me just say this. That is what we're talking about. There is a way to attack her record on policy without calling her a name. Incompetent is an unflattering name. And when people do that to black women, that is what Van is talking about.
Boom. What I tell you guys? It doesn't matter if you fluff it up, right? This is what they're saying. Well, you can't say that she's DEI. That is a racial dog whistle. So you just got to fluff it up a little bit, make it nicer. Okay, this guy literally just said that, well, here's evidence of Kamala Harris being incompetent because of the fact that she signed off on Biden's disastrous decisions when it comes to foreign policy, namely the Afghanistan withdrawal, in which Kamala Harris said herself, I was the last person in the room before Joe Biden finalized that decision. So she has admitted to having a say on what happened, right? Being involved with the disaster, which again speaks to her competence. But even if you use substantive policy and criticism and examples of this is why Kamala Harris is incompetent, they're still going to say it's racist. They're still going to say it's racist no matter what. Why? Because it's effective. She got triggered because he just pointed out with examples why Kamala Harris is incompetent. And most of the country agrees with it. And she knows that. They know that. This is why they get so triggered by it. That guy, that Republican, the guy that just laid that out, he went out of his way to make it not racial, right? Because the whole topic of the conversation was about, oh, well, Republicans saying DEI and, J.D. Vance talking about how Democrats think everything is racist. This guy's whole point was that, well, Republicans don't really have to do that. They don't have to talk about stuff like that. They can just talk about the policy. Dude lays out the policy, talks about the policy, and guess what? He's still called a racist. Or at the very least, she strongly insinuated that him calling Kamala Harris incompetent is some sort of racial attack against black women, right? Because you can't call black women incompetent, right? You can't do it. Even if they are, you just can't say it out loud or you're racist, right? But you can say whatever you want about a white man, okay? You can say whatever you want. Again, it's a handicap, guys. It's a handicap. They're trying to handicap Republicans from using their most effective lines of criticism against Kamala Harris. They're trying to pretend like it's not a substantive conversation to question Kamala Harris and her ability to lead this country, when it most certainly is. They're essentially trying to make it so you can't question that at all because they know that is her biggest weakness, or else you're a racist. They want to silence any criticism of it. And just remember, these are the same individuals, Democrats, liberals, that have no problems calling Trump Hitler, right? They don't think that's out of bounds. Nah, that's totally fine, totally legit, okay? Even though there's not really much substance to that because Trump is not Hitler, okay? Not even close, but they do it anyways. But yet they want to handicap Republicans from being able to say that Kamala Harris is incompetent. Do you guys see the game that's being played here? You see what they're trying to do? And again, any Republican falling for this nonsense on this specific issue, it's just not very bright. Like you're just not thinking properly. You're buying into the bait. You're giving them exactly what they want, which is to silence you on a criticism that is probably one of the most effective criticisms against Kamala Harris, because the main reason why people don't have confidence in her is because most people, again, including Democrats, don't think she's qualified. They don't think she's competent. They don't think she was picked for the right reasons. It's really that simple. So when you fall for the nonsense from the left, which is to say, well, it's racist to call Kamala Harris DEI, when you capitulate to it, you're just handicapping yourself. You're making it harder to attack her. You're giving up an attack that is very effective. Because even when you soften it up and you say, okay, well, she's incompetent, they're still going to say that you're racist, right? Because they just don't want you to criticize her judgment. They don't want you to speak to her competence because they know that's her biggest weakness, right? It's really that simple.
You might not agree, but as a black woman, let me tell you how we hear it.
Well, you know who disagrees are the voters. The voters right now believe the Biden-Harris administration is one of the most incompetent administrations in American history. That's not me. That's the voters right now. And they're not just saying about the vice president. They're saying about everyone in the administration right now.
Let me get Van to respond to that. Go ahead, Van.
Well, I agree with Ashley. Look, we're gonna have to learn how to talk to each other. There's certain things that if you there's a smart way and a dumb way to do anything.
You know what's so funny about this? You know what's so funny? Is this idea that the GOP calling Kamala Harris a DEI hire or incompetent is some racial attack. It's not really even a racial attack. It's really an attack on her judgment, right? That's what it's about. They know that. And they're trying to pretend that like racial attacks are out of bounds, right? Even though, again, the GOP is not really attacking Kamala Harris on her race. They're just pointing out the fact that she was hired because of her race, right? Those are two different things, okay? But these are the same people who frequently use racial attacks against Trump, calling him a white supremacist, a white nationalist, a Nazi. These are all racial attacks. But they never have these conversations about, well, should we be attacking Trump along the lines of race, right? When these same people attack white America or talk about white people, they never have these think pieces about, well, should we be attacking white people because of race? Should we be using racial attacks against whites? No. It's only whites. They can't use racial attacks against blacks, but the other way around, though, is totally fine, right? Even though the GOP is not using a racial attack. It's not a racial attack.
A very dumb way to, after 400 years of this mistreatment of black people and black women, to say you're incompetent. Maybe that makes sense to you in your world and you wouldn't take it that personally, but that has been the slur. That has been the core, that we are not worthy. We're not as smart. We're not as good. We can't do stuff. And so when you have someone who's overcome all of that again and again and again and again, and that's the word you pick, incompetent, I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to work as well for you as you think it. And what you're going to wind up doing is getting a lot of people who are not going to vote, who really did not care, who were sick of all of it. People are going to crawl through broken glass to vote against a party who says that about a black woman. Pick another word. Don't pick that one.
Yeah, so you just heard Van Jones say it. Exactly what I've been telling you guys. It doesn't matter what you say. They're going to say it's a racial slur. DI is a racial slur. Incompetent is a racial slur, right? Pick something else. Okay, so again, it started with DEI. Okay, no, you can't say that. That's a slur. It's racist. Okay. Well, she's incompetent. Oh, no, you can't say that either. You can't say a black woman is incompetent. No, you can't do it. Okay, well, what can you say? Well, the truth is that you can't say anything, right? Because if you say, well, I think that her judgment's not good. Well, you can't question the judgment of a black woman, right? Well, I think that she was picked based off her race and her sex and not because of her other qualifications. You can't say that either. You can't say a black woman was picked just because of her skin color or her sex. There are no criticisms that are allowed against Kamala Harris. That is the point, right? That's the honest to God truth. This is how they think. And this is why the GOP should not back away. This is why they should double and triple down. The more triggered they get, the more you should say, okay, this works. Because if you listen to the voters, they're telling you, yeah, we don't think she's competent. Yeah, we don't trust her. We think she's corrupt. We don't trust her judgment. And calling her a DEI hire, incompetent, she lacks judgment, whatever you want to call it, it's effective. It works, okay? Because that's how people feel, okay? Everybody knows the truth. So don't run away from the truth because the media is trying to call you racist. Them calling you racist, it just means that you are right over the target. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.